Welcome to Notes from the Cabin. My name is Kim Ekshaw of Ekshaw, which is a handmade indigo bag company. And today I wanted to walk you through the different processes that I take in order to get that beautiful indigo that appears in the bags. So I'm outside and you will probably hear roosters and ducks and all kinds of things because I live on a farm in a cabin. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm all set up outside, which is where you need to do indigo. Not only are there fumes when you make indigo, but also it is really, really messy. So you definitely do not want to be doing this inside. So I reserve all of my indigo dyeing for the summer months here in northern BC. So as I said, I'm outside and I've already got my pots already set up. And we're starting by scoring the fabric, and essentially scoring is deep cleaning the fabric to remove any kind of waxes or residues or anything like that that can happen in making the cotton fabric. So we want to remove that so we can get as even as a dye that we can with our indigo. That isn't always the case because we are hand dyeing. So there's always variations in indigo, which I honestly really, really love. There's a rooster. Okay, so I have my hot water and it's almost at boiling temperature. And I've added my soda ash and some detergent. And this is just a baby detergent. It has no fragrances or anything like that because you want it as pure as possible because you're removing all of those residues and things like that from the fabric. So you don't want to add them while you're cleaning it. So we are going to let our fabric boil, almost boil, in our pots with the soap and the soda ash for a few hours. I like to go a few hours to remove as much as I can. And I'm gonna agitate, I'm gonna agitate the fabric and move it around just to make sure that I get as much cleaned off the fabric as I can. And then from there, we're going to wring it out and rinse it really, really well. And then we are ready to morton our fabric. And I'm going to take you over to my tub that I have that has all the morton in it. And it's going to stay in that tub for anywhere from 8 to 24 hours. I like to leave it overnight because I'm pretty picky about it, but I like to let it sit overnight, and I will mix it up and agitate it and move it around and make sure that the morton gets to all of the fibers in the fabric. And I like to morton the fabric by a yard. I don't like to go any bigger than that because I find it's really hard to deal with. So I'm going to take you over to the morton tub and show you what that looks like. All right, so we are over at my morton tub. And if you do start dyeing, I highly recommend you've got to have like your supplies that you only use for dyeing, not you would never take it back to your kitchen or anything like that. So this is my tub of Morton, and it's my bath that I use for all of my fabric here. And what I'm gonna do, like, because it has been in here actually for 2 days, and I'm just gonna agitate it, but it's ready for our indigo. So we're going to give it a rinse, and then wring it out really good and add it to our indigo vat. Now it's really important that when we add it to the indigo vat that the fabric is never dry. You never want to dye dry fabric. So say if, for example, you've mortoned your fabric, you've wrung it out and you let it dry, I would soak that fabric for at least 30 minutes before you start dyeing. It is really, really important because if the fabric is not wet, then you're not going to get an even as you can indigo dye. All right, I've just added my soda ash and I am ready to add my reducing agent. All right, so I've just put in my reduced indigo, and we do not want to agitate our vat. Do you see how yellow, kind of greenish it is? That's really good. So we're gonna let it sit for 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes. And then we can start indigo dyeing. All right, so we are ready to start dyeing. Our vat is nice and ready. And I like to just skim off the little bits, the little film that's on there. Look at that. Hopefully you can see that underneath. It's like a beautiful yellowy green color. And that's what we want to see. So now we can grab our fabric. And for this fabric, I actually dyed it with an exhausted vat. So it doesn't look really great, but it was kind of my tester fabric anyway. So we are going to dip this fabric here. It's gonna wring it out a little bit. You wanna make sure that when you start dyeing, that your fabric has been soaking for at least 20 minutes in water. Because you never wanna dye dry fabric because you won't get a very even result. So we can start dyeing. Look at that. Isn't that cool? This is why I love indigo so much. So I don't like to agitate the dye very much, but I want to make sure that I get a nice even result here. So we're just going to push it down. I only dye 1 yard at a time to get the fabric as even as possible. And even then, I mean, it's hand dyed, right? So it's gonna have variations. And that's why I love doing this. I love the variation in it. It shows that a human hand has been there. We're just gonna push it down. I'm not gonna agitate it or move it around too much because the more you do that, the more agitation, you're releasing the oxygen that creates the reaction in the indigo vat to begin with. So we just don't want to do that, right? But we do want to skim off this residue that happens when we go to dip. And we're just going to leave it in there for a while. It really depends on the depth of the indigo shade that you want, and the age of your vat as well. So I just made this vat, so I'm gonna leave it in there for like 5-10 minutes maybe. And then I'm just gonna move it around a little bit. And then we're gonna dip it about a total of probably around 3 times. And the older the vat is, the more you wanna keep your fabric in the indigo vat if you want that dark, beautiful blue, right? So yeah, so that's all there is to it. I'm gonna pull it out early so you can see what it looks like because it's just really, really cool. So isn't that cool? It's like this neon yellow. It comes out neon yellow and then it starts oxidizing as soon as we take it out. So it starts turning this cool blue or a green color. And the longer it sits for, the more blue it becomes. It's really, really cool. I love indigo for this. So I'm going to let it sit out in between my dips. I like to let it sit for about 10-15 minutes in between my dips. So I'm just going to hang it on my clothesline here and carry on. This is after a second dip. Look at that beauty. So pretty. We are in the last stages of our indigo dyeing process and we are just rinsing it. So I'm going to rinse it with some water until it runs clear, and then I'm going to rinse it 2 more times in water and vinegar. And then from there I'm going to let it air dry outside, and then I'm going to take it in and give it a good wash in my washing machine with some mild detergent and I'm going to tumble dry it. I know that that doesn't sound conventional, but I like to put my indigo to the test. So yeah, so that is it for this process. Thanks for joining me.